So here we are. I hope your week's started off well. This is Matthew chapter 27, and we're going to see what's the outcome of Judas betraying Jesus and Jesus going to the cross. So please take these words into your heart. I pray that all of these chapters that we've delved into in the Gospel of Matthew has been a blessing to you, and I hope you enjoy this chapter as well. And after this one, we just got one more of Matthew, so hope you enjoy. Here we go. When daybreak came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people plotted against Jesus to put him to death. After tying him up, they led him away and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, his betrayer, seeing that Jesus had been condemned, was full of remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders. "I have sinned by betraying innocent blood," he said. "What's that to us?" they said. "See to it yourself." So he threw the silver into the temple and departed. Then he went and hanged himself. The chief priests took the silver and said, "It's not permitted to put it into the temple treasury, since it is blood money." They conferred together and bought the potter's field with it as a burial place for foreigners. Therefore, that field has been called Field of Blood to this day. Then what was spoken through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. They took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him whose price was set by the Israelites, and they gave them for the potter's field as the Lord directed me. Now Jesus stood before the governor. "Are you the king of the Jews?" the governor asked him. Jesus answered, "You say so." While he was being accused by the chief priests and elders, he didn't answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Don't you hear how much they are testifying against you?" But he didn't answer him on even one charge, so that the governor was quite amazed. At the festival, the governor's custom was to release the crowd a prisoner they wanted. At that time, they had a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when they had gathered together, Pilate said to them, "Who is it you want me to release for you? Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?" For he knew it was because of envy that they had handed him over. While he was sitting on the judge's bench, his wife sent word to him, "Have nothing to do with that righteous man, for today I've suffered terribly in a dream because of him." The chief priests and the elders, however, persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to execute Jesus. The governor asked them, "Which of the two do you want me to release for you, Barabbas?" They answered. Pilate asked them, "What should I do then with Jesus, who is called Christ?" They all answered, "Crucify him." Then he said, "What was it he done wrong?" But they kept shouting all the more, "Crucify him." Then Pilate saw that he was getting nowhere, but that a riot was starting instead. He took some water, washed his hands in front of the crowd, and said, "I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves." All the people answered, "His blood on us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas to them after having Jesus flogged, handed him over to be crucified. Then the governor's soldiers took Jesus into the governor's residence and gathered the whole company around him. They stripped him and dressed him in a scarlet robe. They twisted together a crown of thorns, put it on his head, and placed a staff in his right hand. And they knelt down before him and mocked him, "Hail, King of Jews!" Then they spat on him, took the staff, kept hitting him on the head. After they have mocked him, they stripped him of the robe, put his own clothes on him, and led him away to crucify him. As they were going out, they found a Syrian man named Simon. They forced him to carry his cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of the skull, they gave him wine mixed with gall to drink. And when he tasted it, he refused to drink it. After crucifying him, they divided his clothes by casting lots. Then they sat down and were guarding him there. Above his head, they put up the charge against him in writing, "This is Jesus, King of the Jews." Then 2 criminals were crucified with him, one on the right and one on his left. Those who passed by were yelling insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who would destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." In the same day, the chief priests with the scribes and elders mocked him and said, "He saved others, but he can't save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him come down now from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusts in God. Let God rescue him now, if he takes pleasure in him." For he said, "I am the Son of God." In the same way, even the criminals who were crucified with him taunted him. From noon until 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over the whole land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Eli, Eli, lema sabachthani." That is, my God, why have you abandoned me?" When some of those standing there heard this, they said, "He's calling for Elijah." Immediately one of them ran and got a sponge, filled it with sour wine, put it on a stick, and offered him a drink. But the rest said, "Let's see if Elijah comes to save him." But Jesus cried out again with a loud voice and gave up his spirit. Suddenly the curtain of the sanctuary was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth quaked and the rocks were split. The tombs were also opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised, and they came out of the tombs after his resurrection, entered the holy city, and appeared to many. When the centurion and those with him who were keeping watch over Jesus saw the earthquake and the things that had happened, they were terrified and said, "Truly this man was the Son of God." Many women who had followed Jesus from Galilee and looked after him were there, watching from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of Zebedee's sons. When it was evening, a rich man from Arimathea named Joseph came, who himself had also become a disciple of Jesus. He approached Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Then Pilate ordered that it be released. So Joseph took the body, wrapped it in clean, fine linen, and placed it in his new tomb, which he had cut into the rock. He left after rolling a great stone against the entrance of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were seated there facing the tomb. The next day, which followed the preparation day, the chief priests and Pharisees gathered before Pilate and said, "Sir, we remember that while this deceiver was still alive, he said, 'After 3 days I will rise again.' So give orders that the tomb be made secure until the 3rd day. Otherwise his disciples may come, steal him, and tell the people he had been raised from the dead, and the last deception will be worse than the first." "Take guards," Pilate told them, "and go make it as secure as you know how." They went and secured the tomb by setting a seal on the stone and placing the guards. Do you all see the reaction from the people that demanded the Son of God to be placed on the cross? How we, as people, we want to see the extraordinary thing happen at your demand. How often do we hold people in this same way when something happens in life? You want all the evidence. You don't want to believe one way or the other, or you hold someone accountable for things that maybe someone said or did without just simply believing in that person. Jesus had told them almost every single thing that had happened before it happened, and most of these people did not believe it until the time came. So even in their disbelief, they wanted to make sure that people didn't try to make it look like he had risen from the dead before. So they had guards stand outside just to make sure. But one thing that's very important in this that you saw when this had happened, that many people had came back from the dead and actually walked through the city streets. So that resurrection power was so great that it spread throughout the city. So this is the greatest miracle in the history of mankind. And it's really hard for people to believe. Are you one of those that have a hard time believing? I pray that the Word of God rests inside of you and begins to awaken something new in you. And I hope that you have a blessed day. We'll see you soon. God bless.